Evloev. Dan, great to sit down and chat, my brother. How are things at you today?
Really good, my brother. Thank you. It's been a year, like we were just talking about. It's crazy. It's just crazy how fast this last year has passed by, and yeah, here we are, a couple weeks away from the big fight, and just getting some rest before sparring today. But overall, feeling really good. How about yourself?
I'm very well, and I'm all the better for talking to you today. But first and
Right
foremost,
on.
it's never mind a year in my life or a year in your life. It's been a big 12 months for your baby boy Bam. So how's the last year been with him, and how much has he grown up in the last 12 months?
Dude, it's insane. Like he's this kid is gonna be something. He's so charismatic and he has such a cool personality and he's running around like he's living up to his name, Bam Bam for sure. And it's just fun, man. The first those first few months were really difficult for me, just trying to figure out this new life and adjustment and trying to make a lot of things happen that I didn't know were supposed to happen. And then just maybe around the 8-month mark, I just things really kind of settled in, and I realized like, okay, I kind of understand what I'm doing. Like this is my purpose, and just to raise him as a child and lead him and set good, be a good example, be a good role model, and yeah, he's really given me a lot of purpose, especially in my fighting career, my family life, my home life. Um, he's just made life so much better. It's definitely difficult. It was a big change in the beginning, but now I just feel like it's part of me. It's part of my life. So man, I love it, man, watching Bam grow up and just being a dad, even on especially those hard days when you don't want to do anything. You don't even want to parent because you're so tired, but you see his little smile, it just makes your day better. So um yeah, I've really just been loving it, man. I'm loving life and I'm having fun with this.
Well, that's a beautiful way for us to start, first and foremost,
Yeah.
and I'm very happy to
Thank
hear that.
thanks.
Let's talk about the fight at hand first and foremost. Mosvar Evloev. Opinions on your opponents, opinions on your upcoming opponent and his style, how it matches up with yourself.
He's really good. I'm honestly really excited to face him and put him to the test because obviously he's undefeated. Um, in my head, I always call him 15-1, 15-1, but he's 15-0. So I'm excited to put that zero to the test and be the guy to take it away from him. I've always, took pride in being the guy that would fight anybody, anytime, anywhere, and I think I've shown that in all of my last fights, all my fights in the UFC. I've never said no to an opponent, and here we are. I just came off a fight with Josh Emmett. Now I'm fighting Mosvar, and it's a big test. It's a big test for me. It's a big test for him. I think people are starting to kind of count me out because I've went 1-2 in my last three, and I don't think very much into that stuff because all I know and all I see is that I'm still getting better. I'm having fun. I'm growing. I'm learning a lot. I'm getting a ton of experience. Getting to go, 5 rounds with the Korean Zombie, 3 rounds with Josh Emmett, 5 rounds with Calvin Cater. Like it just goes on and on and on. The guys I faced, the level of competition, and I'm excited to put all that to the test. Um, if I if I if I felt like I wasn't getting better anymore and wasn't improving, I'd probably be done with this because, I've gotten so close to the top essentially, and
Mm.
then I've fallen short. But that's like that's not a good excuse, not a good reason to give up. And even Zombie getting the title shot, like losing the Zombie and then watching him get smoked by Volkanovski, like that might be discouraging to a lot of people because it'd be like, well, I couldn't beat the guy that just got smoked by the champion, so why should I even try? But that just, if anything, gives me more motivation to work on some things. So I've literally just been working. I went back to my roots. What got me here in the first place. Was my grittiness, my mental toughness, my ability to grind, my ability to wrestle and grapple, and I'm excited to put all that to the test because I'm actually fighting a wrestler who'll probably engage in that with me. So I'm really not thinking too much about what he's going to do to me, but I'm just focused overall on being my best self. And I've had so much time to prepare for this. I signed the fight in February, so it's impossible for me not to not train once I sign that bout agreement. So I've been going since February, just focused on sharpening the blade every day. So if I lose, there's no excuse because I'm as prepared as I can possibly be.
You mentioned there, Dan, about people counting you out for this fight. I wanted to ask you, does this feel a little bit similar to the Gavin Tucker fight? In the sense if you've come off the loss, people are talking about the odds being a little bit nearer than what they perhaps should have been, and people kind of counting you out in that regard. And if so, should fans expect a dominant performance in the way the Tucker fight ended?
It's similar in a way. My mindset's similar, I would say, going into like the Mirsad Bektic fight, because I felt like I didn't get this is immature me going against Mirsad, because I did care a lot about what people thought about me. I cared about what the media said. I cared about what the matchmaker said, and I always put this like crazy pressure on myself, and I felt like I still had something to prove, and I kind of got to show it in that fight in bits and pieces. And just because I did feel counted out, like this was the guy that was going to be the future champion at the time, and who was I? I was brought in there to lose essentially, and my mindset going into that fight was just like, it was a dominant mindset, and that's kind of the mindset I have going into this fight, except a better version, because I learned a lot. I was still immature in that fight. I was still making dumb mistakes, and I grew a lot from that fight, and obviously the fights after that I grew a lot from. So yeah, the Gavin Tucker fight too, in a way, I didn't really like the Gavin Tucker fight. Was more of like I was supposed to fight Ryan Hall, and I had a good training camp for that fight too. And I remember Ryan Hall got injured, and I was just basically, my mind was, I'm ready for anyone and everyone. It doesn't matter who's going to be in front of me on March 13th. That was the date, and it ended up being Gavin Tucker. So I guess my mindset is similar, because even with like, we're still 2.5 weeks away. Anything can happen. If he doesn't show up, like, I will be prepared for anyone. But that being said, I am focused on Mosvar, and my mind is sharp, and I'm ready to get this one back.
Fantastic. If we also look at the last couple of fights, the last couple of losses against Zombie and Emmett, those were guys that were above you in the rankings, that you were trying to take their place, if you like. But this fight is you defending your ranking, if you like, against Mosvar. So is there any kind of mentality change going in when you're defending your place in the division against the guy below you?
A little bit. Yeah, I'm the gatekeeper right now. So that definitely, I don't want anyone to come up and take my spot. I always, look for those opportunities to climb the rankings. But at the end of the day, it doesn't, I've cared a lot less about that kind of stuff, about the rankings, about, the notoriety, the big fights, and the fame and the money. I'm just trying to get back to what got me here. And that was, putting my head down and grinding and winning. And, but yeah, this guy's trying to come up the rankings and take everything away from me, everything I've earned, everything I put into this. So, there is a little bit of chip on my shoulder in that sense. And I think the odds just came out. I'm like a 2-1 underdog. So that's another like excitement factor. That's the beginning of being counted out, right? So I enjoy that kind of stuff, and I find fuel and passion in that. But essentially, I don't really care. I could be a 5-1 underdog, a 10-1 underdog. I do like being the underdog though, because I am a dog. I want to go out there and not only prove to people, but prove to myself something I already know, is that I am a dog, and I can go out there and beat anyone on any given night. I just have to be right mentally and show up, because that's the biggest thing I've learned about all this. No matter, like this fight, for example, I've had like 17 weeks to prepare, but if I don't show up mentally, what good does it do me? You know, I could go into a fight with 10 days notice and not have any time to really think about it, but show up mentally and I can win that fight. I feel like that's the biggest thing is we get a lot of fighters, some talk about it, but a lot of people are super fake about it. But like, I'm pretty sure we all deal with nerves, anxieties, and, you know, it's overcoming those type of things and facing your fears because like, dude, this is my 30th fight. I get nerves every single time. And it's not so much nerves the day of, but it's like thinking about the same guy every single night. Like I signed the bout agreement in February. There's not a night I don't go to bed thinking about my opponent. But that type of stuff gives me fuel to get up and train. Like today, I've been training for so long and my body's tired and I got to go spar today. I got to go spar some killers who are fresh. And I get more nerves and anxiety going to the gym every day. Like because I have guys, up and coming guys that want to be in the UFC. Even other guys that are they're hungry, so they push me. And that's what it's all about, you know, overcoming fears, conquering anxieties, and showing up. So, you know, I know Mosvar kind of puts on this I don't even know if it's him tweeting, it's probably his manager, but he just puts on like a tough guy act on Twitter, like he's the best and he's the champion, which he should have that kind of mindset. But at the end of the day, he's a human. He has the same feelings that I feel inside. And it's who's going to overcome them on fight night and you know, put their game plan to the test. So I'm excited. He has a game plan. I have a game plan, and we're both going to go in there and throw down. And, you know, I'm looking to come out victorious.
How do you deal with those mental anxieties? You talked there about such a long camp for this one. As you mentioned, 17 weeks. How do you deal with those anxieties of going to bed thinking about the same guy every night and that really tax and pressure that such a long camp can put on a fighter?
A lot of different ways. You know, I'm very grounded, you know, with my family, my spiritual life, my God, like being connected. And I put a big belief in that. So that's what keeps me grounded and connected and keeps me small, because when my ego gets too big, that's when I get in trouble. So keeping my ego small and then just doing hard things every day. I do hard things and I overcome hard things. So when it's time to do something hard, I know that I can do something hard. So, and that's in anything. That's going to the gym and training. That's getting in an ice bath at 39 degrees for 5 minutes. No one wants to get in that, but getting in there and doing it, that's overcoming something hard. Getting in extreme temperatures in the sauna, that's hard. That's uncomfortable. Dieting, you know, being disciplined, that's hard. But I'm overcoming these little hard things every single day. So that all fuels the mindset. And when I know I can overcome those little battles, I know I can win the big battle, which is conquering yourself and conquering your mind. So I guess that would answer your question.
Is that, if the analogy you used there is camp, would it be fair to say camp is almost a group of very small battles to prepare you for a very big battle in a way?
Yeah, 100%. Even in sparring, like let's just say I'll speak from experience. I've gone in fights where in camp I got my ass kicked every sparring day. I don't know why, because I put extra pressure on myself that I need to go out there and like have this great performance in sparring, and then I end up losing or losing around, let's say. But there's small victories even in a loss. Like there's things I can go in there and be like, well, I didn't give up a takedown today, but you know, I got outstruck, but I overcame that small battle, or I didn't stop scrambling when I could have stopped. So I didn't give up position. Those are little battles that, you know, you gotta find those small victories because they all add up. I don't put too much emphasis into practice because, like I said, I have gone camps where I was getting murked. So I'm not even murked. I'm just my biggest critic and hard on myself. So let's just say losing rounds. weekly. And I'm like, dude, how am I going to win a fight if I can't even win a sparring round? And then I go in and kill a guy on fight night. And that's what it's all about, is showing up, because only one night matters. This whole camp, this is just to prepare the mind and body. But my body's prepared, my mind's prepared. So now for me, it's not even about training hard anymore. It's just being smart and getting to the fight healthy and making sure my mental state and everything is on. Because yeah, man, it's crazy how big of a factor it is. Even in my last couple fights, I felt pretty prepared. I felt really prepared going into the zombie fight, but I had an emotional mindset. That was my first fight being a dad, so I was very overzealous. I really wanted to knock out the Korean zombie. I wanted to put on this big statement performance, and just those little things caused me to fall short, just being a little over emotional, a little reckless, and you end up giving position up. So those are little things that, I try to take and learn and get better from. It's so much easier said than done, because in the moment it's a fight, and you got to know when to fight and when to compete. And for me, it's hard because I'm a fighter and I want to be in that fight. I don't think I've ever been out fought. I've been out competed. I've been out, skilled, but I've never been out fought by anyone. So yeah.
Can I just ask as well, because I know you took trips out to see Justin Gaethje and Trevor Whitman, and you also went to Fight Ready to train with Henry Cejudo. What have those experiences been like for you this camp, and how much have you learned from going to train with some of the other minds in MMA?
Yeah, man, it's been great, and that's been a big part of it, is like keeping it fun, keeping it out. Because if I was home in Vegas for 17 weeks, I'd probably lose my mind. Just doing the same thing every single day. So that was a good thing about having this much time, was that I got to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. I got to go to Denver. I lived with Justin at his house for about a month, and got to do everything he did. And then I got to go out and train with Henry and pick his mind, talk about, understand his philosophy. He has a whole different philosophy on fighting, and it's just little things I could take from every guy in every camp. And I did a little secret Russian training camp that I can't speak of, but I'll and I'm doing everything possible to prepare, and taking little bits and pieces from the greats, guys like Henry, guys like Justin, guys like Khabib and Kamaru, and just trying to pick their brains and take one little aspect from each and every guy and every coach that I come across, and ultimately form my best self. I used to do that a lot when I was working heavily for Ali, where I would run around, do stuff for all the fighters, and I got to be around high level fighters and part of their fight weeks and in their camps, and then pick the brains of their coaches. But when Savannah got pregnant, my wife, and then when we had Bam, I just kind of stopped doing that, because I just became a dad, and I was essentially inside my comfort zone. Even in the Gavin Tucker fight, the zombie fight, the Emmett fight, nothing really changed for me. I was still working out, working hard, but I was in my comfort zone. I was sparring the same guys every day. I was sparring, we know each other's moves, so we know when to hold back. We know what not to do that gets us in trouble. So to get out and go train with different guys that I never trained with, and it was definitely a big help for me preparing. And I noticed those little things, like when I went to Colorado for a month and I came back, like the guys that I would go with every single day, that I know their style and know their game and they know me, is like they can see a difference too. Like, okay, you're doing something different. And going out to Henry's, and just like we weren't even training hard. It was more drills and technical stuff and speaking philosophy, but coming back to practice with a different mindset, going into the last 3 hard weeks was big and a huge help. And yeah, I'm just excited, man. I'm ready to go. Here we are doing interviews, so that means I know I'm getting close to the fight. And I'm just pumped up, man. I'm ready to go.
Well, for one final topic before we finish, I'd like to talk about a very much a mutual friend of ours, but certainly a big man in your life in Eric Nicksick.
Yeah.
The photo that I posted yesterday on my Instagram, Dan, of you and Eric, Eric had captioned that photo about this fight going in as being your 15th fight together. And he talked about the love for you and him and the closeness that you've got. I know you are one of his closest fighters in terms of the relationship he has, but I'd like to get your perspective of how much the relationship to your head coach Eric Nicksick means to you.
It's big, man, and it's he's a huge key to my success because having that connection, having that synergy is so important in the corner, and even him just being open-minded to letting me go train with other coaches, that speaks big to me, like not being like oversensitive about it or controlling about it, but he wants me to go out there and get better too. So that essentially helps him grow as well as a coach. But just seeing his transformation over the last couple of years and seeing his growth, something I've always knew he's had, like from day one, like from our first fight together. He didn't have the name or the notoriety, but he had the work ethic and the mindset to grow. And seeing what he's become today, like he's changing the game, the way he coaches practices, the way he approaches coaching, and knows how to coach different fighters because everyone's different. There's no cookie cutter recipe to success for every fighter. Everyone's so different, and he knows how to grab on and how to coach a fighter and how to coach an athlete. And essentially beyond fighting, he's a great guy to have as part of your circle and in your corner. So yeah, man, it's big, and it's crazy to think this is our 15th fight together. But man, I want to win a world title with him so bad. Like, to see a guy like I even text him, but a guy like Rufian Sas, Eric was in his corner, just won the world title, and like in a way, I was jealous because I was like, dude, this guy came and worked one camp and won a world title, but here we are 15 fights later, like I'm still trying, and I know it'll be so much sweeter and so much better when we do get that title, and that keeps the hope alive, that keeps the dream alive. And that would be one of my biggest my biggest attributes to my career, is to win a world title. And people are going to say I'm crazy and count me out and say it's not possible, but I believe it is. And I'm always a few fights away because the way I fight and the way I go after it. And yeah, it makes me happy to talk about, but I got a lot of work to do.
Well, I won't call you crazy for the thought of you winning a world title, because that's certainly possible. And it all starts again on the 4th of June against Evloev. So thank you so much for such an honest conversation, and thank you so much for your time once again.
For sure, my brother. It's good talking to you. Hope all is well with you, man.
Likewise, and give my best to Savannah and Bam. Before we finish, Dan, how can people find you on social media? Any sponsors or anything like that? The floor is yours for the final word.
Yeah, hit me up, Dynamite Dan 808, Instagram, Twitter. You guys could check out my YouTube. Just go type in Dan Ige on YouTube. I'll be uploading some more videos soon, but I've been trying to post some behind the scenes, some vlog stuff leading up to my last fight, this fight, and trying to get more active on there too. So go check it out.